those kids will come to pick up at our schools because we have more capacity and more, the ability to kind of produce it all. But we also have had our business staff working to make sure that our people get paid. And we've had our staff here making sure that people can have a maternity leave approved and their disability leave approved. And it's really incredible to see how that whole group of people have come together. But I want to walk the board through some of our steps. And the first is the message to staff. So what we set up for the staff was a process of every teacher is assigned to a different Google Classroom. Every teacher is expected to upload content. The principal in charge of that Google Classroom puts it all together and creates a packet, and then the support staff here makes the packet happen. Actually physically prints it, collates it, organizes it, puts it in boxes, and then our maintenance and ops staff gets it out to the sites and makes sure it's there. In terms of our campus access, pretty quickly, we made a decision to close our campuses for reasons having to do with disinfecting the campus. And with our special ed, I didn't mention it in the community and staff recognition, but those people have been here the longest days, 10, 11, 12 hours, because it's gonna be a very complicated time with special ed, because children deserve services, but if we're not there, how can we give a service? I mean, some children have 300 minutes a day of service. But how do you do that over the phone, or how do you do that on a computer? It's not the same thing. So we're working through the legal side of it, but also how do we give resources to families? I think you all saw an article that came out earlier today. We have 2 parent support meetings that we're holding, one this week and one next week, so we're really excited about. They're all gonna be virtual, so we're gonna be calling the parents to help them figure out how to get on the meeting and get on.
I know for my grandson, he gets 15 hours through private insurance. And it has been all done through video conferencing, even his OT and his speech. But it is not easy, and it takes both of us. So Jenny sits on one side, I sit on the other side. Like he had 3 hours today. But he's 6. So we're talking, yeah.
A lot for 6-year-old.
And, but it changes up, we do a lot of different activities. But there are a lot of parents in this company that have bailed. It's gonna be a difficult challenge. And we are not gonna be successful with all. And that's gonna be the challenge, how are we gonna deal with these? And there's gonna be some parents that, they're not used to teaching. They're used to just being mom and dad.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be the key.
I understand.
And we have to protect the health and safety of the children and the adults.
Right.
So even if I wanted to send a teacher, I wouldn't.
No,
Because
you can't.
wouldn't wanna put the whole household's
Mm-hmm.
health at risk by sending a person, because we could do that theoretically, but because of the health risk, it
Right.
kind of knocks that out. So the special ed team is doing the same process of figuring out what does the law say and then what's best for kids. So we're trying to keep that in the forefront, what's best for kids, what's really gonna work for children. And so initially our plan was to produce packets, give them to everybody, everyone has the same access, well, after the first week we said, something happened with the packets because they ran out. So we realized, okay, we're actually educating all the kids that live here but go to school in Oak Grove, San Jose, Campbell,
Right,
South
they're at home.
Yeah, all the districts is their home.
right.
Right.
So we ran out of packets because families were showing up and saying, when they would see us there, I work in such and such and my son goes to this school, can I get a packet? And of course, we're educators.
Right.
We're not gonna say drive to Oak Grove and get a packet. So at the same time, we said, okay, but let's try to figure out how many of our kids. So we put together a plan, we met with CSEA on Friday and we said, what if we have all the secretaries come back Monday? and we call every single household to fix all our inaccurate information in the
Excellent.
system.
We got a call.
I got a call too.
To ask families, are you getting food from us, and if not, why?
Right.
What is getting in the way of you getting food from us? Are you getting the packets from us, and if not, why? And then, do you have a computer, tablet, or Chromebook? And do you have Wi-Fi access? So in
And,
the last 2
and
days,
you also asked if there was somebody there watching.
is there an adult with you? Is there somebody who can help us when we call to help
Right.
you with your classes? So now, after 2 days of making these phone calls, we realized we actually can make sure that every child has a computer at their house. Because we were a little bit concerned that we weren't gonna have the ability to assign computers to all the kids. Well, so many households already have computers. We're only going to focus on households that need them. So we put that number at about 2,000. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week, we're gonna have drive-up computer pickups. Each Chromebook's gonna be assigned to a specific child. The secretaries are gonna call those families back and say, your date and time to pick up is Wednesday, and if you can't make it that day, we'll set you up for Friday. So by the end of next week, every single household will have adequate technology. We're also gonna partner with our local internet companies to make sure that they get a free hotspot and get internet access so that they can use the device in the way that we're supposed
So, we're providing 2,000 Chromebooks, and where are they coming from?
to. They're ours. They're ours.
Okay.
We're developing device
They've been
agreements.
wiped down and stuff.
When they come pick them up, they're gonna have to sign a contract saying, I'm not gonna destroy it, I'm not,
And what if it does get destroyed?
It's the
They're
same
pretty
process,
inexpensive.
yeah, like when they lose a
If they
boat,
do it,
it's the same process.
Well, I know that other school districts have tried this in the past and it has flopped unbelievably because they don't come back, they get stolen, they get dropped, they end up being, pawned and, switched for drugs and stuff, and that's in the past, I don't know.
Yeah, but a Chromebook is what, $150? We're not talking an iPad.
I think this is when I
Exceptions.
heard that you were doing this, I was really happy because I had heard people in the community saying, what about those that don't have? So I'm really happy that we're able to do this as a district for those that don't have. And then my follow-up question is, and I'm sure you're already thinking about this, is the ability for a parent to call and get a little IT help or password help, and because not everybody knows they're
Right.
clever in the Google Classrooms and all that.
There's gonna be a little ring with,
Excellent.
how do I do this, how do I do this, so it's gonna be put in, we're giving them out.
Oh, awesome.
It's all gonna be in there, tips on how to take care of your device, what not to do with your device, how to make sure you don't hurt your device, and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
But those are for also those are, the tips will go to the people who do have computers as well. Okay, awesome.
because I know with the high school, they're also going to be doing the same thing. Deploying,
We have to.
Chromebooks to our students.
Makes sense.
Distance learning is just, we don't know for how long.
Right.
So it's better to be prepared and have that there, ready to go, for however long it happens. But, and I know with certain Wi-Fi connections that districts provide, like for us, for our migrant students, they're not allowed, certain areas are blocked.
Oh.
So that they're not using the Chromebook or the Wi-Fi for social media or things that they're, I don't know about, the free one, what access they'll have, but I know if, with certain restrictions with certain companies, you can block certain things so that the kids are focusing on academics and not
When they log into our network, our filter will still apply, even if they're at their house.
perfect.
I wanna go back to special ed for just a second. Have we gotten anything from the state to tell us how to handle this situation we're talking about here? I mean, because a lot of districts must be in this same position.
Oh, yeah, and
So what is the state saying?
they're all over the
Nothing,
map.
you're on
Everything
your own?
I've read, they're all over the
They don't
map.
have any,
It's changing every day.
Yeah,
I bet.
when you get those things, in
Yeah, that's what I've been reading.
I know, and they're all over the place.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether it was
Every
different
day
for
they're
you.
different.
The webinar that was presented, last week,
Mm-hmm.
CDE was trying to just give guidance as far as special ed, do the best that you can.
Yeah, that's,
At this point, that is really
That's all you
all,
can do.
because there's so many variants,
mhm.
there's so many things that an individual student may have in their IEP that will make it difficult, and if we have to provide makeup time for certain things, but for now, I think their true guidance was do the best that you can.
Well, I will say that, I hope that the OTs and the speech therapists, once we get these out, that they are able to, chime in and, so those services can work for some of the kids, cause it will help if we have to, if they have to do backlogs. If we can get some kids service, that's what I'm thinking. Cause there's gotta be more Charlies in our district than just Charlie, you know what I mean? And so if we can get some taken care of through the video conferencing, it would really help after this pandemic is over.
That's what we're working on. We're, now that we've determined that we have enough computers for students and staff, this week and the beginning part of next week is focused on providing tutorials and trainings for teachers to make phone calls. So today, I called Erin Bezetta's 8th grade daughter with my team present to practice making a Google Meet. It was clunky, it was messy, we were tripping all over ourselves. We had problems on our side, she had problems on her side. So we finished the call, we video recorded the whole thing, we're gonna turn it into a tutorial, almost like a how not to. And then Erica Sanchez called my house and called Kenny, because we wanted to show the range, because his daughter is 8, my
Right.
son is in TK.
Yeah.
So with TK, you have to have somebody else there, because my son was falling off the chair and moving around. He was like a 4 or 5-year-old. But
By the way, my kids like watching your kids, we watched your video.
very sweet, but he's, at the same time as falling off the chair, he's being the 5-year-old.
Yeah.
So my wife was there to kind of guide him, so we're now, that's why we were asking the question, do you have adults in the house?
Right.
So that we can share that information with teachers.
Yeah.
So now, the rest of this week, Aaron, Kip, Caroline, principals will start to conduct these phone calls. We want teachers to be able to see like 15 different calls if they want to see how it works, because it's really odd to do it with a kid, because it's not like two adults who, okay, we're here to talk about item 11A, and sit down and pull out your agenda, it's a child. So there's just a different way of teaching through technology, and we're gonna learn on the fly.
Yeah.
But we'll start at the end of next week.
Mhm.
The first teleconferences, the first telemeetings will all start at the end of next week. And in your packet, what goes to page 43 is an FAQ that we sent out to district staff that basically
Yeah, that was good.
talks about different questions. I produced another one on Sunday night, a 10-pager with our teacher union, and then we produced another 7-pager with CSEA. We're just waiting for CSEA to sign off on it so we can send it to CSEA. Because each group has different questions and it wants
Sure.
Well, of
information
course.
of a different kind.
Of course.
And then the FAQs are basically serving as, I know where to find that information, I don't feel that I'm, in the dark, and I know what's
Right.
coming up next.
And I think what would be awesome in communication, I know with the high school, if a communication is going out to teachers, you just loop in the president of CSEA and vice versa. So that way you have an even exchange of information back and forth, just so that I know what the teachers are
Transparency,
seeing, I know,
That's a
there's,
good idea.
it's always good to have both sides
Yeah.
looped in, even though we're at different, different interests or whatever, but I think at least with your president, whatever communication goes out is good to do.
And I wanna applaud your efforts for doing that, because you don't have to, right?
Right.
But
It's
the
about
fact that
your
you've
job.
been engaging with both unions is key.
Yeah,
Well, I think it really, because they hear from the members so much that I don't hear from, so
Right.
it's a way to just know from the beginning what we need to change or what needs to be worked on. Because if I send something out and nobody had a chance to ask me a question about it,
yeah,
they'll actually misinterpret what I mean.
Right,
So
sure.
if I hear it from them, then I go, oh, let me just change it, that's wrong, I didn't mean it that way. Let
right,
me fix this sentence, because I actually meant this, and
Right.
so that meeting I told you about on Sunday night, you know, it took 3 hours. But the 6 of us, myself and 5 of the HESTA members, just went question by question, 30 questions, sent it out, and it was really, really well received by people who wanted to be able to dig into more of the details. Details that were important to them, but didn't seem to me being pressing, but oh, okay, well, now that we're talking, okay, great, yeah,
Stress
let's
level
walk through it.
comes down,
Comes down.
definitely.
Lower the effective filter.
There you
As soon
go.
as we
I was
start,
gonna look at you right now, cause you're the one that says that all the time.
as soon as we start making the phone calls, the stress level's gonna go back up. It's so stressful to try to call somebody and it's not going through, and what's going on.
Right,
But
right.
let me tell you, on the other side, and I think there's several of us as a parent and the kids, my kids were so happy to hear from their teachers, even if it's, you know, written, they were like, oh, my teacher said, you know.
You know, actually,
So that's really
from
good.
the teacher's point of view too, it's hard to have had kids for this
Sure,
long,
I'm sure.
and all of a sudden, boom,
Yeah,
I mean, it must be horrible. I never was put in that position, but it must be a
Must
terrible
be really hard.
situation.
Well, especially the ones that you know
Yeah,
there's some
that you
more
have no more
happening,
contact with.
you know, either at home or whatever, and it's like, sometimes,
the
you know, they
kids that
come to
you worry
school
about,
Yeah,
right.
because this is their safe haven, this is where they feel
Yep.
good about themselves, and so a
Hard for
lot are
everybody.
in that situation,
It's
so,
very
you know, you worry about
Yeah.
those kids, cause what can you do about
Those
the
are
ones
kids.
that are in that situation, or homeless, or,
Right,
you know.
but then even the kids that just love to come to school.
Yes,
And they're high achievers and they just, you know, school makes them happy.
all of our kids,
Yeah,
everybody, this
yeah.
affects everybody.
Do we have, in your impression, you know, close enough to 100% participation? Do we have any that just say, no, not? Cool. And if we did, we
I've
do-
yet to hear from anybody about that.
Yeah, I don't think
Good.
so, I think we all want to hear.
Well, they're getting paid, they know it's
I
their
think
job.
I think there's there's a lot of kids out there that are just kind of blue because they miss school.
Yeah.
My 5-year-old was just kind of sad today, he started calling my wife Mrs. Ochoa.
Teacher! But she's a teacher, she knows how to do that, I don't, I'm like, can you just do one thing?
Just do one thing.
When it's your child, your
No, you're
teacher
bragging
just
though.
goes out the window.
Yeah.
You go from an A teacher to a C minus. And it's your child.
Yeah,
But, the other thing is at the end of the call with Mrs. Sanchez, she said to my son, hey, maybe next week your teacher will call you. And if I could, she'd taken a picture of the look on his
So
face,
happy.
he jumped up,
Yeah.
his face went out of the screen, cause he like jumped up so high. And he was just like, this is, such and such gonna call me, she's gonna call me.
Yeah.
And, so I just think that there's a lot of that
Yep.
affective going on with
Yes.
kids, because one part is kids are missing instruction, but the other part is they're missing their friends and they're missing their
Yes,
and they're missing their lunch and they're missing their
Right.
playground, they're
Yes.
missing, just being at school.
Right.
And for them, it's their whole routine
Right.
and, children don't do well when you just change their routine on them. We've done that to 5,600 kids.
yeah.
And I
All at the same time.
along with that, I think every grade is important, but I just wanna put a plug in for our 8th graders, and if there's a way you can, and I'm sure you're already
We're
doing
getting-
this,
we're getting
connect
paid.
with the high school about, those of us who are like, okay,
Scheduling.
which
Yeah,
I already
they're
got an
working on
email
that
about
with the
that,
counselors,
we already
yeah.
got an email about that, but just like, as things progress, if there's a way to make sure that.
August is gonna be a busy month.
very.
When do we discuss the timing? Is that an emergency, but especially
So I wanna, on transparency on this COVID pandemic, I know the other, and part of putting communication out there and being honest and,
Hold on 1 second, if you will, you know he's locking the gate out there. I don't know if we can do that, but
I'll
the gate,
I'll walk out in a minute and lock it.
no, he's locking, it should be unlocked, because we have a,
I'll walk out. Oh, okay.
Steve's got it.
Steve can talk.
I'm
He
sorry.
he doesn't, he just.
my only additional comment was, going back to, and I know it has really nothing to do with us, but at the same time, it might as an entity, and so in the notification process, during all of this, somebody could possibly be affected, again, in our district. Being the exposure what it is, you know, people are still going to the grocery store, they're still having to
Just
get certain things. And I know certain districts are really reluctant to publicly state that somebody in their, an employee of theirs has tested positive for COVID-19. But as an entity, is it incumbent upon us to inform the public whether, I mean, I know CDC did it on their website. They had an employee who, you know, tested positive. They put it on their website. Other districts have done the same thing. We don't need to put detailed information or anything of that nature, but I think out of trust for the community, I'm just trying to figure out
Oh, so-
where you guys all feel about continuing that communication so that I know he did it with the exposure that we had before and he put it out there.
Mhm.
So
I
He
think we have
knows-
to be transparent.
for me personally, I supported that 120%. Because it's the right thing to do. But then again, if I am an employee, it is up to me whether I call the district and say, I tested positive for COVID-19, just wanna let you know. But, you know, and it would be to, not all employees were gonna do that, cause they're within their right not to, cause it's confidential,
Yeah, it's HIPAA.
it's HIPAA. So,
Now
You
they're
have-
not, they're not at the schools now.
well, it's confidential, I don't know if it's confidential or not, it's not due to HIPAA because we're not a healthcare provider.
right,
But, in our last meeting, we did pass that resolution, which came from emergency powers, that if he were to find out for whatever reason, he can say, I don't want Rob Bernowski, on the school grounds, over health concerns. So,
It's
No.
included in the resolution.
yeah, so, I know another school district where they did actually have an employee who got exposed and all this other stuff, and didn't bother telling, you know,
Oh,
the,
jeez.
employer, and then once the employer found out, said,
What are we gonna do, like, now with the secretaries and stuff coming, don't they work mostly from home?
We're trying to have as many people work from home as possible. It's not always.
Sometimes they have to come in.
Sometimes you have to be here, but we're limiting people who are here to a bare minimum.
Okay,
And they're probably apart, they're not.
We keep social distance, we sanitize, we have hand gels all over the office and Clorox wipes, and that's just what we're doing.
mhm,
oh, if we did find out an employee did, we might have a liability if we did tell that person to go.
well, you know, and just trying to figure out, you know, for a union standpoint, you know, I know you had an MOU with CSEA and whatnot, and just the fear of, you know, what is the obligation of the district to let CSEA know, hey, you have, you know, an employee who has tested positive, so that, you know, you're doing right by your staff, and they know to look out for symptoms, et cetera, just exactly the same, I mean, what you did was 100% perfect, because people have the right to know. If we have, I would not want on my watch, on my conscience, that we knew, I didn't say anything and somebody dies. That I could not handle, it be one of us or anybody. I couldn't handle that type of responsibility.
We used 3 criteria to send that message. Were we informed? And we were informed. We were informed very late, by the way. We did not find out until absolutely very late. Was it verified? We contacted public health and verified that it was accurate, that it was not hearsay. And then third, was it legal? And we did check the legality of sending out the message we sent out. It met those 3 criteria, so we sent it.
I would say, and I agree, I think that was the right thing to do, but I think now, moving forward, we have to look at what would be our purpose in putting out an announcement if they were not at any of our schools. Now we've been out of school, how many days?
I'm just worried about people that are working in here.
7
That's what I'm
days.
saying, but that's what I'm saying, like, so let's
Right.
just be thoughtful about who it is we're talking about and, cause some, it's
The
gonna
reason
happen.
I discussed those criteria is because immediately following that, we received at least 10 different notifications of people that believe they had contracted COVID, but they were not verified. So when we contacted public health, they said, we haven't seen, there's nothing on record, I can't verify that information for you, so.
Well, they don't, do they have
They
any
weren't
place to
testing.
be tested?
They weren't
That was
In
testing.
San Bernardino County, I heard we had like 4 or 5 test kits, that's it, for the whole county.
Yeah, so, at the time, something like that, so.
Yeah.
That would have been last Friday, and it would have been a very low number.
By the way, for members of the audience, we're sort of doing things a little bit differently. And if you have public comment, raise your hand or otherwise, signal to trustee Chris here that you have some comment.
We'll get you a card, you
We
want,
do have the cards up front.
Oh,
Yeah, we do have the baskets right.
You do, they're white.
so if you wanna, you have to fill out a card if you wanna make a comment. Thank you.
My Easter basket.
That was it for me.
No, it's-
There's something on for us to vote on here, right? This was
what's
just,
that?
this was just information.
This is-
It was.
Right, but public still can comment on it.
So we were on 11A on,
So if I can take you to page 48.
uh-huh,
What's new and cool in week 3, we started out by initially creating grade level Google Classrooms. And so what we're doing now is we're expanding it to have more specific Google Classrooms. So we have one for STEM, we have one for ELD, middle school honors, Orton Gillingham, math, social emotional learning, and writing. And so we're sending a survey out to teachers tomorrow, asking them to sign up for these Google Classrooms. And then if you have a passion for Orton Gillingham, which is our early reading program, you join that Google Classroom and you can start uploading content to it. So the same way we've created the packets for weeks 1 through 4, we'll start to create supplemental packets and take them out to the children that need them.
They'll be available, or how do we,
The same,
we just
as a
say
pickup,
8th grade, blah, blah, blah?
can I get the honors packet?
so how do,
Can I get
For
the
the-
science packet?
no, for the Orton Gillingham, how do you do that again?
So our plan is to include that for all TK through 2nd grade because it's our base new
Right.
reading program and it's highly, highly effective. And so in 2 weeks, when we start calling houses to do lessons with kids and check in with kids,
Oh, so this is
we'll be
2
able to
weeks.
say, open up your Orton Gillingham packet, because I want to do a couple activities with you. It's very sort of hands-on, interactive reading instruction for kids. So it will give the teacher more content that they can use with the child. And the reason to create these Google Classrooms is to avoid having a kindergarten teacher at R. Hardin who has this group of materials and then a kindergarten teacher at Sarah Vista who doesn't because they're new or it's the first time they've taught kindergarten. So creating the Google Classrooms allows us to create an equity across the district.
Right.
So all the curriculum is available to all the students.
That's
And
perfect.
now the supplementals will allow us to go up or down depending on the grade level.
Right,
More support or more difficult work. Yeah,
that's perfect.
Google Hangouts, Google Meets, Zoom video conferences, those are all coming. We had a meeting today with our special ed department as a little test. We had 70 teachers on the call, all at the same time.
Wow,
We conducted a 2-hour phone conference with 70 teachers and SLPs and psychologists, and so it was a mix of people. But it was just a great way for us to start to get some of the kinks out in doing this, so theoretically, in a couple of weeks, we would hold an English 6 class at 9 in the morning, and we could have 80 kids sign up all at the same time and be on the call with their teacher and ask questions, and we'll tie it to the packet and we'll tie it to our YouTube channel, so the district has also created new YouTube channels for each grade level.
Oh my
And teachers will start to upload their lessons. So if you have multiple children in the home, or if your children can't be in the class when the class is happening, the video for the class goes to the YouTube channel so you can access it later. And we'll continue to communicate with parents about how to use this and train them and tutor them. Like you said, how will parents get help? Our IT staff will be giving tech support to families through email and through phone calls.
Or even
So-
YouTube videos.
There's a lot of pots boiling, is what I'm trying to tell you.
There are a lot of.
Everyone's
pots.
working, everyone's on it.
Well, you know, we need to be, because from everything I hear from CASBA, they're not gonna be open in the schools the rest of the school year.
That's a possibility.
well, I think it's a
Yeah,
very
that-
definite possibility.
Yeah, it's a real possibility.
The kids are saying, don't say that. Or don't say it.
I'm just being
No,
honest.
that's a lot of.
When our
That's
governor
the
is saying
reality.
it.
That's what our governor's saying.
Yeah, that's the reality, 8 weeks out.
So just to
That's
summarize,
my report.
so we're feeding the kids, we're getting IT into the home for everyone, I mean, to the best we can. And a child will see or get something personal from their teacher daily or weekly, or what's the
Weekly. So,
weekly?
and it really depends on the child, so let's use a TK child. It's gonna be pretty hard for a TK to get online, but 3rd and 4th grade, we'll start to develop schedules of when these lessons and these online meetings are happening. So your child could have a Monday meeting, a Tuesday meeting, a Wednesday meeting, cause it's all gonna be through Google Meet. So we'll invite kids who wanna join, we'll, according to their grade level, they'll tap into the meeting and pop up on the screen, and we'll be able to conduct those meetings with all the kids.
Okay, and the CASB is gone this year, right? That's what,
Yes.
Cast is been
The
suspended,
state-
Okay, so no standardized testing.
to my
Correct.
disappointment.
And
And rubs.
what's that?
And rubs.
You know, even I.
I know that is. You love the test, I know.
But these are extraordinary
Oh, thank God.
times. And I understand that I'm very, very worried.
Well, I think we're gonna have to discuss how we're gonna start next year. How are we gonna start next year? How
For
it's
summer.
not gonna
For
be,
summer.
it's not gonna be a normal start.
No.
We're gonna have to look at the curriculum and see how are we gonna start these kids off?
Summer.
As soon as we know when we can open, we can put a plan in place.
Yeah,
Until-
it's
until
gonna
we
be
know,
totally different.
If they tell us we can't open until September 15th, that's a huge difference than August 15th.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
If they tell us we can have summer school and they'll give us some funding for it,
I'm sure.
we'll be sitting pretty.
yeah.
If they don't wanna give us any funding for it, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
Were you on the presentation
I'm hopeful.
with Tony Thurman?
Mhm.
What
The
was,
West.
yeah, what did he, I literally have not talked to my wife a lot because she's so busy, but what was the outcome of funding and stuff like that? Do we have anything to worry about at all?
No, what we're gonna be made whole on is meeting our payroll, is keeping the schools running, keeping the services there. But what they can't predict and what nobody knows is what is truly gonna be the cost of the compensatory educational services that will come and the lawsuits that will come from special ed. Because you will have a pretty sizable percentage of parents in the state who say, my child was supposed to be getting 1,500 minutes of service a week and 800 minutes of speech service a month and 600 minutes of OT service, and you owe me the service.
Yeah.
That cost is astronomical.
Yeah.
If the state makes a decision to allow districts to provide an alternative service, there's no guarantee that the courts or the administrative law judge will support it.
Mhm.
And so the state might come out and say, this is what we're supporting, but there's a legal process. And I guarantee you, the body of people who do this for a living will absolutely be pressing the case.
Oh.
So is that a $200,000 impact on our district? Is it $500,000? Is it $1 million? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. So what we're banking on right now is the best thing we can do is make contact with families and be creative and be hardworking and try to build those relationships so that we have fewer and fewer families who feel the need to pursue alternative means to have their students' needs met.
Our one-on-one aides, are they, can they go in and do some of the, to take some of the load off of the special education teachers?
So we did reach out to CSEA this week about having paraprofessional and instructional aid support for students. We want to train them to do video conferencing and do internet meetings with the students that they serve.
Mhm.
That's a negotiated item because it's a difference
Sure.
in their regular assignment, so I'll hold off on saying anything further, but we have a meeting planned with CSEA to talk
Oh,
about
good.
that. And everything we've done so far with CSEA has been very well received, so we're looking forward to it. But we won't know until next quarter.
Right.
Okay, any more discussion? I just want to say, I'm very impressed with our response to this. I mean, I think we're doing the best we absolutely can, given how this thing has been fluid. So, 11B, the Cordy Williams complaint summary.
This is normally Erica's report, so you're just gonna be stuck with me tonight. There's not much to it. What you have is two documents on page 52 and page 53. They're both quarterly reports. The district is required to publicly review any Williams Act uniform complaints. The number of complaints for the time period July through September 30th is 0, and the number of complaints October 1st through December 31st is 0. And that is the report for the board.
I want to commend, this is so much better than a year ago. I'm in shock that it could be this good, this fast, considering knowing what situation we were in over a year ago. And to have it come back like this, not only is it great for the students, financially for the district, I can't tell you how much money in the long run we are now gonna save that was just exiting out the door. I mean, just flowing out the door. This put a cork in it. This stopped a lot of excess expense.
Discussion action items, the facilities use agreement with Navigator Schools. And the recommended action is that the board approve the facilities use agreement for the 2021 school year between Hollister School District and Navigator Public Schools, doing business as Hollister Prep School. Diego, you're up again.
It is a long document, as you have, it starts on page 55. It's for all of you. This board approved the resolution last year,
Right.
as you saw. We've been working with Hollister Prep School there in a very positive way, so we look forward to continue doing that. We do have concerns about the overall number of kids that physical campus can handle. So we've reached that point and we don't think we can go any further than that. And so what the agreement does is it allows what's taking place now to continue on for 1 year. And it's my recommendation that we continue to provide that facilities.
Just one question. Since we are so impacted at R.O. Hardin School, are they going to enlarge themselves? They're not going to take on any more kids then, or so it's gonna stay the same? Okay, because I don't want any more impact onto the campus. I know they were talking about building another, rooms or whatever somewhere close to the campus. I just wanna make sure that they aren't going to continue to accept kids, which would put a burden onto R.O. Hardin.
Yeah, the site itself.
I talked to Kevin when I ran into him when we were getting our National Blue Ribbon Award down there in Orange County last month. And he said they are still trying to acquire property behind R.O. Hardin that will allow them
Where at?
to expand. I don't know, I mean, I know the property is all, is a refilled lot right
There's
now,
where the
so.
portable
That's a
used to
best
be
case
on that
scenario
other
for us.
side, the little preschool, there used to
Really?
be remember where the
No,
old
I do remember.
D.O. used to
There's
be?
enough room there that,
So
okay.
right behind the multi.
Yeah.
I know where it is.
Yeah,
I didn't think there was enough room.
I don't think so
that?
either, but
Yeah.
There's
I
a,
think so.
there's an owner
There's an
who
owner.
is, they're really close in their negotiation, you know, but to me, it was something I started talking to him about last February, and he's been very receptive to the idea. You know, it always comes down to money, so it's a matter of, you know, can he get his board and his funders to help cover the costs? Are the state dollars, the matching dollars for charter facilities gonna help cover that? He thinks they will. What that would do is it would allow them to essentially not use any classrooms that are physically currently on the R.O. Hardin side of campus. So it would relieve some of the overcrowding that's happening there, and allow us to come up with some really great new ideas of things we could do academically on the R.O. Hardin side.
That'd be great.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the
Facility.
facility use agreement for 2020 to 2021.
I'll
With
second.
Ulster property.
Who seconded it?
I second it.
Okay. So is there any more discussion on this item?
I think for me, it was just the clarity that they put in here, they're only gonna have 540 students. That be the limit.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item, 12A, is a resolution. And our recommendation, I'm sure,
Page 68.
what page was it, Jan?
68.
68.
Right, so resolution 21-19-20. Diego?
So what we have is an elimination and a reduction of confidential employee services. Whereas Education Code 45114 and 45308 provide that confidential employees shall be subject to layoff for lack of work or lack of funds, and the Education Code provides that employees, confidential employees, subject to layoff shall be given notice of layoff not less than 60 days prior to the effective date of the layoff, and be informed of their displacement rights, if any, and reemployment rights. And this is resolved for the administrative assistant to the superintendent position. And with that, I'll open for any questions.
Alright, so I'll entertain a motion, and whoever makes that motion, if you could read the resolution number.
I'll move to accept resolution number 21-19/20, elimination and/or reduction of confidential employee services.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. Item 12C, contracts for site principals. Mr. Ochoa.
Last one, tonight's presentation is a summary of months of work. If you'll call back to the superintendent's action plan in August, I brought the item to your attention then. I included it in my goals for the year in that document to be able to work with the board to extend multiple year contracts for administrators for a variety of reasons. One is when you're able to have a site leader that is invested in their school, then you have a site leader who sees their work as an opportunity to grow and to build a team, as opposed to when you have an administrator who is brought in, there's a tendency to feel that you're gonna change the school into your image or turn the school around, and sometimes that can be met with so much opposition that the school never finds its footing and ends up having one principal, another principal, another principal, and so
We've seen that.
I'll use Lydia School as an example, where there's been less stability at Oro Hardin administratively.
Mhm.
And Lydia has come in 10 months and just absolutely done an incredible job of it.
So is Diana.
Diana and Liz is another. And so those are the kinds of leaders that we want having stability. The other reason to do it is because I've flagged to the school board my interest in having continuity of leadership, so that when we initiate programs, the people who were here when we initiated them can see them through. So when the district comes up with a plan in August, and then 3 out of the 10 principals leave the following June, the 3 new people weren't here when the plan was created. And so you've just created a gap that they can sometimes struggle to find their place and figure out how to implement. So the item tonight is for the board to approve the contracts to ensure the site leadership stability. And assuming the board would approve the contracts, then those principals will have a deeper investment and a deeper connection to the sites that they're at. Speaking on their behalf, I can tell you they're very, very thankful for it to be considered by the board. And with that, I'll open to any questions you have.
I don't have a question, I have a comment. I hate to bring things back to sports, but I did coach for a long time. As far as I'm concerned, you're the head coach. You get to pick your team. You've decided that these are the people you want. I trust your opinion. And I also am of the belief that a 3-year contract shows confidence in your players, or in this case, the people that you've chosen. And so I am all for this, because really this is something, these are people that you have to deal with. They also reflect what you want happening in the schools. They're your leaders at each school site. And if these are the people you want, I'm all for it.
It's a great analogy.
My only, and I don't know if are we gonna make a decision on the middle school principals and their days, how many days they work?
It's in here.
Yes, and I think it should be 5 days more, and it's not. So if we approve it the way this is, can it be amended to?
Of course.
Okay, so we're just approving the 3 years. Okay, is that what we're approving?
Well,
And any amendment to the contract would be brought back to the board.
All right, because I would like to have a discussion about that, because I feel that the middle school principals should be given an extra 5 days because of the scheduling concerns that go with the middle school.
well, the discussion should be now, right?
Yeah.
Because we're doing it.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we can change it now, is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, I mean,
alright.
Yeah, that's why
Okay.
why we get to look at these things.
Okay,
So your argument is middle school teachers,
middle schools,
middle schools, middle schools, the principal should get,
an extra 5 days because they have to schedule with a computer and with all the periods and all of the teachers and get things worked out, you know, versus in K through 8, the way we're setting it up, that 6th, 7th, and 8th is just 30 kids in a classroom.
And who does that?
okay, so what I'm looking at, K through 8 gets 210, and who gets 205, K through 5?
The one thing I'll say is, one of our K through 8 principals will have 100 kids in each grade. So HDLA
Oh, yeah.
is now gonna have 100 kids in 6th grade.
Oh, then maybe
So
they need
her
to
master
be,
schedule is going to.
She's gonna need.
yeah,
My recommendation is that we approve the contracts as presented with the agreement that we meet with these principals
I was thinking that.
and consider an
Ask
amendment
them.
in June. So that we sit down at the table with them, work through some of these master schedule questions, and then
Okay.
entertain a change
So
in.
the majority are 210.
But I was thinking the same
They're all
in that,
No, Monique's is 205.
I was thinking that we should talk to the principals and see what their ideas they have, and so I like that.
There's been, in the past, there's actually been principals that did not do the scheduling at all. It was,
oh, yeah, Rancho, yeah.
Yeah.
because they didn't know how to use a computer.
Oh, actually, no,
wow.
it wasn't Monique.
Do all your
Liliana.
principals have,
Liliana Espinosa is 205, sorry.
Yeah,
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 Lilia,
so
Sorry.
why is she 205, yet the K through 8?
because she doesn't have K through 8.
K-5?
Our Hardee's K-5. They're one school that's remaining K-5.
So
Part of it was.
Plus we need to increase enrollment on that one, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that was
Yeah.
work in
she
progress,
was the only one that's 205, everybody else is
but she has
210.
capacity for more.
And you'll see that Joe Rivas and Janine
Right,
and they're listed as K-8. In reality, they're K-6, but
they're
they'll become,
TK8,
they'll become K-8.
Right.
Each year, we're adding on 30 students to their school, so
how come these aren't signed by them, because what if they disagree?
they're signed.
Oh, you just didn't,
You didn't put their
you didn't put the
signatures
signature copies in
I
here.
didn't put the signature copies in, but they're all signed.
on. So then, let me get this straight then. If we approve this, what you're going to do before school starts or whatever,
In June,
meet with them, get their collective ideas, and
bring it back.
then we can bring it back and look at it again and see if we like that or not.
And the difference is it'll be an amendment to the days. The rest of the contract won't
Will
come
stay the
back.
same,
We're
yeah,
not
of
gonna
course.
change the rest of the contract.
And I know in the past, this has come up as well, is that as a board, what do we get to, I saw everybody has number 9, but from number 9, what, I think the board at that point, when you've done their evaluation, we should have your analysis as to what you feel their strengths are, their weaknesses are, what you're gonna be working on with them, because they're an extension of you. Again, we've talked about this, and so if they're not meeting expectation, you're not meeting expectation, so, and that reflects, comes back here, so, and so that would be my only thing, it talks about you doing it, but it doesn't talk about, and that may be just an internal thing that we can discuss later on, which I'm okay with, but it just, I wanted to make sure that as a board, we're all, and you're awesome at communicating, there is no question about that. But I just wanted to kind of moving forward with, your people, I've always got your back, but it's, a big part is because you communicate so well to what your, what your thought process is, what you see. And, when things aren't working, things aren't working and you don't have an issue with owning that. Which is, a huge part of, being in a leadership role. not everything's always gonna be perfect, and, I'm okay with that. We just have to own, where, we don't meet expectation, where we gotta work a little bit harder.
And so what the contract says is we have this evaluation of the performance is the way for us to say, things need to change.
Mhm.
You know, a year ago, it wasn't like this, well, what's going on? This is the remediation plan. Because
And
our principals are really no different than our teachers who, if, you can have an employee, you can have a food service worker, you can have
Right.
a para, you can have a secretary
Right.
who needs performance support,
Right.
needs to improve their performance. So that's what we built.
Mhm.
And it's always the board's discretion to ask for my follow through and feedback to you all on how those performance evaluations are going.
Okay.
Just like a teacher, a principal needs, the evaluation is more for them than it is for him. They need to have feedback. You don't know sometimes as a teacher exactly, if you're doing something that's not exactly right, a lot of times you don't know that. You have to have somebody observe you and say, and bring it to your attention. To me, I've always looked at evaluations as a teacher in that light. This is something that's going to improve you so you can be an improvement for your students. In this case, he's going to improve, if he finds any issues, he's going to improve the principals so that the school can improve. I've always looked at evaluations that way. That's the way they should be. This is a learning. Evaluation should be a learning process.
well, I also like that you have in there that if you see that a principal is weak on the subject, that you need to notify them by the second week in January. So,
If not, at the end of the year,
Yeah.
and there's too late to do anything about it.
Right.
The other thing is we have so many great programs that we're investing in with Orton Gillingham, with Eureka Math, with Benchmark Advance, with Constructing
STEM,
Me, with STEM, that it's somewhat easy on the superintendent side to actually, when I make these visits to schools, to actually see the work happening. And the metrics, unfortunately this year, there is no metric, we can't say the percent of this changed
right,
up or
right,
down.
we're not gonna have any of that, yeah.
We don't have that, but we'll have it next year.
Sure.
And when it comes in, then there's gonna be a lot of cause for us to say, we're on the right track and we're doing good work. And here's the gap that we're gonna focus on, because even the metrics themselves, every single school is gonna be in their own place. AAA is in the high 90s% of kids meeting or exceeding standards. If they were at 70%, that would be a huge drop for them. We don't want
Right.
70%.
No,
Okay? School B is currently at 48%. Okay, so let's get them up to 60%. That's to them, so the measure itself
Sure.
is really about each school.
Right.
And it's about coaching each principal so that they can lead their school to where their school needs to be. And equally importantly, we're gonna have a new principal in a year who's gonna come on board to open up this brand new Rancho Santana school, who's gonna have a whole other metric involved, which is, can you create culture at a school? Can you create a school out of thin air?
Right.
And not make it feel like there's 20 kids from HDLA and 25 kids from Lad Lane and 50 kids from Sarah Vista and 80 kids from Sunnyside. No, there's not. There's Rancho Santana School, the Owls.
I thought they were gonna
decide.
decide.
Putting in a plug for owls.
I just want to say, first of all, two things. That, I read a lot of contracts in my job, and I've read a lot of contracts sitting here on this board, and one of those remembers the first year or two. This is one of the best contracts I've ever read. It's just clean. You can read it, you can understand it. So far, I haven't been able to find any typos.
What?
Don't look any longer. Stop.
But, the second,
This is fine, but
the second thing is, there are certain things that I think will move the needle of any school district, but if we do pass this tonight, I think that this is one of those things that we'll look back and say, thank God we did that
Right.
because of the stability and building the rapport and creating the culture that, you know, these
Of the team.
principals can build on, so.
Well, let's do it.
All right, so I will entertain a motion to approve them and do the nature of it, I recommend whoever wants to make that motion. I made a list of the principals so that
Oh, that'll
we're
be easier.
approving the agreement between the Hollister School District and these individuals.
All right.
Who would like to make that motion?
I'll make the pull up. Have your cheat sheet.
Alright, so I make a motion that we approve said contracts, principal contracts for Scott Wilbur, Joe Rivas, Diana Herbst, Janine
Astoya.
Astoya,
Ostoya?
Lilia Espinosa, Monique Reese, Ken Woods, Gabriela Armenta.
Second,
Go ahead.
second.
Okay, any further discussion? None being indicated, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 5-0. Board member reports. Trustee Kane.
I've been isolated and I have nothing to report.
Aye. Trustee Martinez.
I have nothing to report as well.
Trustee Torres de Luna.
I think the only thing we did the science fair at HTLA, that was fun, right before everything happened, so that was really fun to do.
Trustee Grist.
Participated in the science fair, that was very fun to do, before the whole world shut down.
Okay, and I have nothing to report. I've been inundated because of all the educators in my life about what they're doing, and I have to tell you that the educational community, at least that I'm in touch with, including here, as well as the San Francisco Unified School District and the Santa Clara High School District, it's remarkable what the teachers, how they are stepping up to the plate and everything that we talked about before, so. Anyway, very glad to see it, so, and thank you to all the educators out there. And most of all, thank you to Diego for keeping us so informed, including on what you're sending to the teachers and stuff like that, so it's very remarkable. Future agenda items, we have a special board meeting coming up on April 3rd.
We'll confirm the date and time via email, so.
Okay, and
That's
of
right.
course,
Yeah.
that agenda, we can't normally conduct any normal business, actually, I guess we can, routine things, certain things we cannot. In fact, we had talked in your absence about coming out of our April 3rd meeting with, being done on his evaluation. Actually, I don't think that we can at a special meeting.
It has to be.
No, it would have to be at the next regular public meeting.
Right, but we'll do all the work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the work will be done.
done.
And then we were gonna look at, didn't we discuss about, a future closing of the school? What if we have to extend it?
Closure.
Is that gonna be on the April 3rd?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to review test scores.
Good luck.
We won't be able to in May, June, October, November, December.
Sorry, Rob.
Over.
I can look at the old one.
Give us some old ones for fun.
Actually,
He's looked at them all.
I don't know if this would be appropriate, because I don't know how long I would like to, as a group, talk about, not so much, I'd like to talk about goals, what we would like to see,
You said that.
short-term and long-term
I
goals.
think we talked about that.
Yeah, but I don't know when we're gonna do it.
You're right.
But short-term and long-term goals that,
I think it makes it kind of hard because with all of this happening,
Well,
I think he
short-term
talked
goals
about
makes
that
some
whole
long-term
issue.
goals.
It's like, if we
Right.
get released
Yeah,
before
right,
summer,
right,
maybe
we don't
summer, if not
It's
till
hard.
August.
Yeah.
Really can't.
So
It's hard.
what the crystal ball kind of is telling us right now, for him to plan would be extremely difficult because you don't really know
Well, one of the
what
things
to
I'm
plan
concerned
for.
about is the alternative program.
What I can do is I can make a presentation at a future meeting regarding
Planning.
multiple planning scenarios. Because what I have is I have
See?
multiple plans. We open in June, we open in July, we open in August, we open in September, because we don't know when we're gonna open. And each one will have a different impact, but it's also predicated on what cost we incur and what funding we receive.
Right,
So the June plan is a June plan for no additional cost and additional funding, but there's another one for June with a major additional special ed cost. Like, we might decide every single child with an IEP needs a certain summer service. We don't
Right.
normally do that,
right,
but this might be a year where we do.
exception to the rule.
If that happens, I'll cut you a bill and let you know how much that's gonna be. But that's gonna have to come from somewhere, unless the state says, here's some
Here you
funding.
go.
So we
State
don't
and
know.
federal, yeah.
We
But
don't know.
the stock market turbulence is not good,
Everything.
and we can't, so when I present to the board on the 28th of April, I'll present those options to you.
But I'm
Planning
concerned,
scenarios.
the, remember taking back the alternative program.
It looks like it's gonna be a year off, Jen.
Oh,
But
another
we'll
year.
talk, so we'll talk about it on the 28th.
Yeah.
It's not agendized, so we can't go.
I know. Well, can we put it for future agenda?
Yeah, I have it on.
Are we also gonna talk about at that meeting about the LCAP? We were kind of in the,
Yeah, we were in the
Middle.
middle of that.
We're still planning, we're still working with our bargaining groups. We finished all the parent communication part because we were so early.
Thank
I
God.
know.
So now we looked at April 15th to May 15th to work with our bargaining teams. So we're still gonna do that, but there's a possibility the state could waive the LCAP for a year or greatly reduce the
Yeah.
requirements associated with the LCAP for a year. So we just, again,
Yeah.
I can tell you something tonight, it
Right.
might be different next month.
right,
Yeah. Well, every day everything's changing. You can't even,
hour.
you know, with everything happening around the world, I mean, my coworkers are like, 700 died today in Italy, just today. So,
It went back up again.
Let's
It was
just look
going
at
down,
our
went
next
back
door
up.
neighbor, Santa Clara County.
yeah, so I mean, we
Spain is
don't
in
know,
worse shape.
we don't know, you know, what's ahead of us and, you know, just trying to stay afloat and keep people safe as you're doing, you know, and doing an amazing job of getting all of it done.
So the next board meeting, of course, is April 3rd, then.
Yeah.
Our regular board meeting is April 28th, and my guess is you can probably plan on at least one meeting in between.
In between.
Probably, yeah.
Okay,
In there,
okay.
so.
Don't
And
forget,
there'll be
yours truly
special-
is still
there'll be-
working.
There'll be special meetings, so we'll coordinate with you.
We'll coordinate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you.
This guy turned on.